Welcome to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur podcast. I am your host, Kayleigh Greenacre, a business strategist, coach, TEDx speaker, author, and your go-to woman for all things business strategy. I am obsessed with supporting female entrepreneurs to grow unstoppable six and multi-six-figure businesses that they love, giving them the freedom and life that they desire. During this podcast, I'll be sharing with you everything that you need to become a successful female entrepreneur, from the mindset shifts to sales and marketing strategies, and how to become an iconic leader that people can't get enough of. It is my mission to help you stand out, attract your dream clients and customers, and sell out of your offers with ease whilst building the business and life of your dreams. Let's make this your reality, ladies. Hello, ladies, and welcome to another episode of Actually I Can, the Female Entrepreneur Podcast. And I'm joined today by the fabulous Charlie Day, who is a sales expert and the CEO of Sales Made, the agency. And in today's episode, we are going to be diving into how to make sales easy. And I know that this is a topic that Charlie is an absolute expert on. Charlie, it's an absolute pleasure to welcome you onto the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So excited to dive into all things sales and to bring some incredible advice to our listeners in terms of how to make sales a little bit easier. But can we just start off by having a little bit of an introduction from yourself? Would you be able to tell our listeners a little bit more about you and your journey into entrepreneurship?
Yeah, absolutely. So hello, everybody. I am Charlie Day. There's a running joke in my family that I've never had a real job, and it's true. I've never had a real job. I set up my first business when I was 21. I built three multi six-figure businesses from the ground up. And then I started Charlie Day Sales, which is my fourth business, which turns over seven figures each year. I set that up in March. I was going to say April, but it wasn't. March. It started turning over money in April, but I actually set it up in March. I had a whole month of no money. There we go. In 2020. So it's been a whole journey to getting here. And then last year I set up Sales Made the agency, which is my sales agency. I've run an all-female sales team and we do done for you sales. So yeah, I'm a serial entrepreneur. But I'll tell you, Kayleigh, I did not have a clue how to sell when I started my business back in 2011. I actually went to drama school, right? I wanted to be an actress. My parents sent me to drama school. I literally begged them. Child number 4, they were like, fine, just go, outsource it. So I went to drama school and I was like, I'm going to be an actress. And I lasted 5 months, couldn't stand it. It was, not ideal. And I actually had some professional jobs during that 5 months. So I reckon I did quite well. But I was like, I don't want this job where I'm like in and out of like shit jobs and, trying to figure it out. I was like, I want to be in control. So I decided to set up my own business. And I didn't know a single entrepreneur at this point. Like, I don't know if it was just my 21-year-old arrogance. Like, how hard could it be? Really hard. So I decided that I would set up a theatre school. I'd been teaching freelance for some theatre schools and I thought I could do it bigger and better and all things. So I set up a theatre school in Essex where I lived at the time. And, I had all these flyers printed. I hired this massive hall with a stage, all the lighting, cost me a bloody fortune. The costumes, everything. I hired it all. And I had worked out, right, how many children there were in this area. And I thought, do you know what? I'm going to cap it at 30 because I don't want it to be too many. I managed to get 7 people there. Didn't make any money. And I remember at the end of the workshop, it was actually really sweet, really lovely kids who came who, everyone got a chance to be a star because there's only 7 of them. And at the end of that workshop, all the parents were like, oh my gosh, my child's absolutely loved it. When are you starting weekly classes? And I was thinking, oh my God, I was going to sort of brush this under the carpet, just forget about it, put it all down to experience. But I thought to myself, you know what, it's been that hard to get these 7 children through the door. I'm not going to let them go now. So I made a promise to myself in that moment that I was going to get really, really good at sales. So I didn't feel like I was in that position. It took me 18 months to turn over a profit in my theatre school. If I knew then what I know now, I would have done things a lot quicker. I would have done things a lot differently, but you live and learn. And now we've got 500 children on a weekly basis who go to that theatre school. I don't have anything to do with the day-to-day running of it, but it still exists. Then I went to set up Phonics with Robot Reg, which we've franchised. We've got 54 franchisees internationally. I also ran a party business, which doesn't exist anymore, but it ran alongside the theatre school, which was quite fun. And then, Charlie Day sales in 2020, because I wanted to show people how easy it was to make sales. And I sort of fell into this because people were asking me. I sold my 30th franchise the week that I was 30, and it was quite young in sort of the franchising space. Everyone was a lot older than me. There were a lot of males in the franchising space, and it was like, how is she doing this? How is she doing it? So people would like ask me like, how are you doing it? You know, can I take you out for lunch and tell me? And so I started talking about it. I started showing people the processes that I'd made, and people were really interested. And obviously I was still head of sales for Phonics with Robot Reg then. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, I can't go out for lunch every single day and tell people. So I created a Facebook group, and one thing led to another. And now full time, I am helping people make more sales and obviously doing sales for them within the agency as well.
Amazing. What an incredible journey. And, everyone knows you as the go-to person for sales. And like I said, I'm so excited to have you on the episode or on the podcast today so that we can really dive into how all female entrepreneurs can make sales just a little bit easier. And I know we're probably going to dive into a couple of your previous experiences and lessons that you've learned and all of those things. But thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about your journey, Charlie. I really appreciate that. So let's kind of just focus on some of the biggest challenges. I think when it comes to sales, a lot of people are a little bit nervous, a little bit scared. Some people think it's a little bit icky when asking for sales and all the things. But to start off with, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that either you previously or many of your clients have faced when it comes to making sales in the online space?
Yeah, I think sales has got a bad name for itself over the years. You think that like dodgy car sales guy. I always think like Mr. Wormwood from Matilda,
Oh gosh, yes.
trying to get some money for nothing type thing. And if we look at what creates a really great salesperson, it's actually the complete opposite of that. It's really listening more than you're talking, understanding people's problems, caring about people, asking questions, making them feel safe to have those conversations. And what struck me as I've been on this sales journey, and I started my first sales training when I was 21, and I've never stopped. So, it really has been a journey. What really struck me is that female entrepreneurs in particular don't feel confident with the sales process. But actually, and this is a massive generalization, if we look at those skill sets of listening, understanding, uncovering problems, really caring, actually it lends itself better to females, I think, But what the females don't have is that tenacity, that resilience, that, I'm going to go for it again. I'm going to put my head against the precipice. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to stand out from the crowd. So it's like we never actually get to that point where we can use those skill sets that come really easily to us because we're so worried about putting our head above the precipice and saying, I'm Charlie Day and this is what I've got to offer. Because as soon as you do that, everyone's got a judgment on it, right?
Yeah.
So often some of the big problems that clients bring to me, which is lead generation, there aren't enough leads coming into the top of my funnel. Closing, I can't get on enough calls to close people down, following up, whatever it might be, right? So let's take lead generation as an example, because I get this all of the time, lead generation. Okay, fine. Let's brainstorm. What could you do to get more leads? Okay, well, I post more on social media. I could add a new social media platform. I could send flyers out, podcasts, networking, stages. So you know what you need to do to get more leads into the top of the funnel. So why aren't you actually doing it? And people say, oh, I don't have enough time, or I'm scared, right? And both of the answers are actually the same thing. And I think as females, especially, we're both mums. I do all of the school runs in the morning. I pick up my little boy in the afternoon. It is me who's doing those things rather than my husband. And I have a lot of help, and I'm very transparent about that. But it's easy to say that I don't have enough time because I do have a lot else going on. But again, time is just an excuse.
Yes.
Reason that we're not doing it is because we're scared that it won't have the results that we want it to have, or scared about putting our head above the precipice and getting too much attention
Mm.
and people not liking that. And that's what I think female entrepreneurs need to get better at. This is my message for everybody. Like, be brave. Be brave. Be brave in your message, brave in your offer, brave about putting yourself out there, because the best entrepreneurs are the bravest entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. And I really like what you said there in terms of, obviously touching on lead generation, having the conversations, getting to know people as well, and, connecting with people. I think it's always about that connection, isn't it? But I know that, and probably there's some people listening to this podcast right now as well, that once you've put out your offer, I think under the assumption of, especially the mixed messages that are out there at the moment, is you can post your offer and then sales are going to flood in, and then, people are going to sign up straight away, which would be absolutely incredible for everyone. And I really hope that that is the case for everyone. But I know it's not, and it's not. So is there anything that, or any advice that you can give people that are potentially listening to the podcast that are a little bit nervous about actually following up, or actually reaching out and having conversations with people again, even if they've already shared their offer with their audience or with potentially some leads?
Yeah, I think we need to get our offer out there way more than you probably are doing. So I recommend my clients putting it in 6 different places every single day for 7 days. Because what happens is people put it out once and twice ago. No one's interested. I'm going to
Yeah.
create a whole new offer. Well, actually, only about 3 people have seen it. So those 3 people who've seen it aren't interested. But actually, I want everybody to see it. And so often when people do challenges and masterclasses and things like that, they think, oh, the hard work starts and then the cart opens and the sales flood in. Whereas it's the opposite way round. It's like you do the challenge, the cart opens, and then the hard work starts.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got to get around everybody, chat to them, see what the objections are, see what's coming up for people, jump on calls with people, follow them up, close them down. And I actually think, if we're honest, what everybody needs to do, myself included, is just more sales activity.
Yeah.
If you want more people in the top of your funnel, you need to do more lead generation than you've ever done before. If you want more people to buy your thing, you need to have more conversations than you've had in previously. If you want to close people down, go follow up. I bet there's people thinking about buying from you right now that you just haven't followed up with. And I have these thoughts as well. I'm like, oh, I really should chat to that person. I know that person. And then you put it off. Well, why are you putting it off? Because that is the most important thing. Sales are the lifeblood of your business. And so what I do, a really great practice, and I believe as salespeople, which we should all be, if we're business owners, we are salespeople. Until you're ready to outsource it, you are head of sales and you should take that job very seriously. What I do is 9 till 10 every single day. That is my sales activity. That's when I'm doing all of that stuff, because if it doesn't get done first, it doesn't get done. And it's the most important, so it needs to get done.
I love that. Setting aside some time every single day to do your sales activity, whether it's lead generation, whether it's following up, etc. I think that's a great, it's a great suggestion in terms of what people can do to make sure it's built into that daily activity. So something that you touched on there as well is, again, really making sure that you're doing the activities, you're doing the things that are going to support you in moving that needle forward, getting your offers out there every single day, and a number of times as well. And I know that a lot of people kind of lack that confidence. We've kind of touched on this already, but lack that confidence. Is there anything that you would recommend or suggest for our listeners in regards to the mindset and that self-belief of sales? Because I think, again, it's such a blocker for some people in terms of, again, asking for that sale, having that conversation, reaching out to that person again. Is there anything specifically in terms of mindset shifts or anything that they could do to support themselves with that particular part of their business?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, we're confident in doing the things that we're confident in, right? Like, I went paddleboarding in the summer holidays and I'd never done paddleboarding before. And like, it looks really easy. I was like, how hard can it be? I'm just standing. And then you're looking at a paddleboard in open water and thinking, holy crap, this is a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Like, I had a paddleboard before, so I wasn't confident in paddleboarding. And when it came to standing on it, I was actually really nervous and I'm going to go, head over heels into the water in front of all these people, right? If we haven't done something before, we're not going to be confident in it. You know, someone doesn't just wake up one morning and go, "Huh, look at that, I'm a confident salesperson. Who'd have thought it?" So the only way we're going to get more confident at it is by doing it.
Mm.
And so in the beginning, it might feel uncomfortable. It might feel uncomfortable to close people down, to follow up. And my best advice to you is to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Because if you do 20 discovery calls, your 21st will be so much more comfortable than the first. You know, if you follow up with 20 different people, it will just become, you know, part of who you are, and you will get confident. And the thing is, nobody has 100% conversion rate. Nobody, not even Disney, my favorite company ever. Some people still hate Disney, not me, but some people do. So I think what we've got to do, we've got to switch the flip the switch and think, actually, we're going for the no's. We want the no's. We are welcoming the no's. If you are not getting no's every single day, you're not having enough conversations. So actually, why don't you see if today, challenge for everyone, you can get
Nice.
10 no's? Because if you get 10 no's, I bet you'll get one yes in there as well. But we are so, you know, nobody wants to be rejected, do they? No, Kayleigh, I'm not interested in your thing. Can you stop messaging me? Nobody wants that.
Of
There's not
course.
one thing. People say to me, I'm not very good at dealing with rejection. Who is?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Mm.
So we have to switch the mindset to actually we're looking for those no's. We know that we need to get the no's to get the yeses as well. And Daniel Priestley talks about with or without you energy. And I really love this whole idea of like, here's what I'm offering. It's amazing. You should come and do it. But I'm not desperate for you to do it. You know, actually,
No.
if you don't decide to do it, that's your loss. I'm
Yeah.
still doing it. This is still happening for these people over here. So it's up to you if you want to do it. So we don't want to look desperate when it comes to the sales process either.
Amazing. Love that. So in regards to kind of the sales activities that people can do on a daily basis or weekly, is there anything specifically that you would recommend for female entrepreneurs to do that are high impact in terms of sales?
So first and foremost, I'm having 20 meaningful interactions every single day. So getting myself into conversations with the intention of selling. Conversations equal sales. The more conversations you can get, the more sales you'll make. So first of all, 20 meaningful interactions every single day. Personal outreach, essentially.
Yeah.
Second of all is follow-up. So I've got a follow-up spreadsheet, and I can give everybody who's listening to this free access to my follow-up spreadsheet if that would be useful. And I'm putting every single inquiry that comes in into that spreadsheet, and I'm following up every single day. The average lead takes 7 follow-ups. The average lead. So some leads take more than 7 follow-ups. So we really need to be following up. And the way that I do my follow-up is very genuine, it's very conversational. I never want people to feel like I'm nagging them or I'm cold selling them. We've got to get really good at personalizing the follow-up process. But that is number 2 on my list of absolutely what I'm doing every single day. The number 3 thing that I am doing is lead generation. Every single day, bringing new leads into the top of the funnel. So I know what works with my lead generation, so I'll do more of that. But also I'm always trying new things as well. So each month I try a new thing with my lead generation. And then the 4th thing, which is a little bit different, is I am checking in with current customers to see how they're getting on, chatting to them, because it's really important to me that my current customers have a really great experience so that they want to work with me and so that they want to come back time and time again. So I built up those 4 habits over time. We started with the personal outreach, then I added the follow-up. I didn't used to, like a couple of years ago even, I wasn't even following up every day. I cringe now thinking about it. Wasn't even following up every day, Kayleigh. Oh, imagine.
And I do think, I mean, it's great advice as well in terms of the 4 things that you can do every single day. And I know we've talked about a little bit about following up previously as well, but I think sometimes people will put the offer out, they'll have a conversation, they'll invite people into their offer, they'll potentially follow up once and they say, no, can't afford it, or now's not the right time, and then they give up. What can we do? What can people do to turn that around, to give them more hope or give them more of an opportunity to convert that sale?
We need to be asking open questions. So we don't want anyone to say, oh, I can't afford it. Time and money, the biggest excuses people give.
Yeah.
And often they're not actually true, because let's imagine that I am wanting to come into your Unstoppable program, right? I'm like, yes, I've seen your Unstoppable program. I've seen the sales page. And I'm like, hey, Kayleigh, I've seen your Unstoppable program. I'm thinking about coming in, but I'm not sure if it's right for me. Okay.
Yeah.
And let's imagine, you would never do this, but let's imagine that you just copy and paste some information, generic information. And I look at it and I think, oh, actually, I probably haven't got the money for that right now. If I'm being honest, I haven't got the money. So thanks, Kayleigh. On second thoughts, I'm not going to do it. I haven't got the money. End of conversation, right? But let's analyze this. We know that I was thinking about doing your Unstoppable program. I know the price because it's on the sales page, and I know what it entails. So we know that I am interested. So why on earth we'd walk away when I just suddenly change my mind because you've been very generic in your approach? The way that I would do it and the way that you would do it, the way that everyone should do it, is then by asking a question. Oh my gosh, Charlie, my Unstoppable program is absolutely brilliant for taking your business from A to B. I would love to jump on a call with you and discuss it further. But tell me, whereabouts are you in your business journey at the moment, and what are your biggest obstacles? Suddenly we've opened up a whole opportunity, a treasure trove of conversation where I'm going to get to talk about myself. And, humans are very self-centered, so they enjoy talking about themselves. You can get people onto their kids as well. People love talking about their kids or the dogs. Then you can learn more, ask even more questions, learn even more, because I might be coming in and saying, unstoppable, da, 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 but actually my business is here. I just turned over 6 figures and I want to see how I can double it. Well, actually, Unstoppable is not going to be the right program for you. You need my iconic mastermind. You need to be the next level. Oh, well, I hadn't seen that sales page. I didn't even know. So the more that we understand the client and what they want and need, what their biggest problems are, what's keeping them awake at night, we might actually then have the opportunity to sell them something much bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can speak from my own personal experience of this as well. It gives you so much more opportunity to get to know the individual, to find out more about them, where they are with, whether it's their business or what they're looking for, depending on obviously your industry and niche that you're in. And just allows that, like you said, that open conversation to really find out more about them, to see if actually this is a good fit or whether it's not, whether something else is. So absolutely great advice
If
there.
they don't buy right now, they might come back. That happens to me quite frequently, right? We have
It
a
happens to
conversation.
me as well. Lots of times they come back.
But if they've had a good experience, sometimes I even turn people away and say, do you know what? I don't think you need sales help at the moment. I think you could do with working with a coach for your mindset. I think you've got some, maybe money mindset barriers can be huge when it comes to sales. If you've got some real barriers with your money mindset, it's difficult to overcome then. And obviously, and I'm always transparent with my clients, we can talk about it and we can brainstorm, and I can certainly give you my own experiences of myself and other clients where we've worked through money mindset. But I'm not a coach. I don't claim to be. That's not what I am. So sometimes I will pinpoint people to go and work with a coach. Let's overcome this barrier, and then I'll be able to help you. And because I'm open and honest about that, people will go off and then come back to me and be like, right, Charlie, let's go. And I love that.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. So there's going to be some people listening to the podcast that are potentially at the earlier stages of business. So maybe within their first sort of 3 to 6, maybe even 12 months. Have you got any advice around how to sort of start making their first sales? Potentially they might have signed 1 or 2 clients or made 1 or 2 sales, but what advice would you give those that are at the beginning of their journey in terms of making sales?
My biggest piece of advice would be just bloody get on with it. Just and this is going back to my own experience of myself, but also when I see clients. And I had a call this morning with a whole group of people who are just starting out at the very beginning of their business, and it's just like, I'll be ready when. No, you aren't going to be ready. There is never a time when you will be ready. So let's just start now when you're not ready, because in 3 months' time you won't be ready. So I think you just got to get in the mix and start doing the sales activity, start having those conversations. The best time to make a sale is when you've just made a sale, right? The energy's up here. Sales is an exchange of energy. So we've made a sale, we're making a sale, another sale, they're all coming in. But the problem is when you get down here, it's like, I haven't made a sale for 2 days now. Oh my gosh, it's been a week. Am I going to make no sales this month?
Mm.
And we've got to keep our energy up in this state up here. And when you start, it's like, I've made a sale. Is that just a fluke? Maybe it was just a fluke. It's a friend of a friend. So actually, that's a fluke. I'm not going to make another one. Oh, actually, then no, I did make another one. Will I make another one? And you've got to get on that conveyor belt of making sales and making sales and making sales. And the only way to do that is just by doing a lot of activity. But I'll tell you the other thing that I find happens is when we come out and we're like, this is my business. I know when I started all of my businesses, so determined. You know, I remember my dad being like, running a business is really hard. You're going to have to do all the marketing, all the tax. And I'm like, I'm going to do it. So there was no way I was turning around to him and saying like, I hadn't been successful. Do you know what I mean? So like stubborn Charlie is like, I am making this work. But sometimes we reach a plateau when, you know, and I remember when I hit 6 figures in this business, it took me 12 months to get to 6 figures. And that's what I wanted. That was my goal, to make a business, really profitable business that was bringing in 6 figures. And I was just like, what now? Do you know what I mean? Like, this is it. This is all. And what happened is my sales dropped because I had reached the goal. And it's like, let's create some new goals. Let's create a new thing. And I think that's really important as a salesperson as well. And you'll find me and my sales team like spend our money before we've actually got it in the bank. Like, yes, 10K in commission. Where are we going? But I do think that that is a good thing because it spurs you on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. But the other side of that, as a business owner, you know, you don't always want to be going for the next thing and 6 figures, multi 6 figures, 7 figures, whatever, you know. You've got to celebrate your success along the way and really sit in that. You are freaking amazing. Do you remember when you didn't have a business? Now look at you, 3 months in, bringing sales in all the time. That is phenomenal. Okay, you only made 2 grand last month, but you used to not make any money for yourself and you've made 2 grand for yourself. That's phenomenal. So it's really important that you stop and realize like how awesome you are and celebrate those successes, but also that you enjoy the journey as well, because the journey is so much better and so much longer than the results. So yeah, it's really important to me.
Absolutely. I think that's something that I always used to be really bad at, is celebrating my success. I was that person. I was that person that would hit a goal and then straight away dive into the next one. What's the next one? What's the next one? What's the next one? I think it's so important, just like you said, you know, celebrate what you've done, what you've achieved, where you are, where you've come from. There's so many different things there. And I think that's great advice for anyone listening. Just make sure you take some time to celebrate because there's so much that is currently being achieved in everyone's business, regardless of how big or small it is. I just think it's always worth celebrating that. So yeah, that's great. And then what about those that are potentially a little bit further on in their business? Maybe they're looking to scale their business to that next level. Maybe they've hit 6 figures, wanting to kind of work towards the multiple 6 figures. What would you recommend in terms of outsourcing sales? Because I think this is, again, another topic that people do start to question when they grow their business. When would you say is the best time to outsource sales?
Yeah, and we get this all the time with the agency. People are like, oh my gosh, done for you sales. Can you take that problem away from me and just sort it out? And of course, that isn't what a sales agency is. A sales agency is a collaboration between, you know, the business and the sales department at whatever level that be. I'm a big believer in the fact that you have got to sort your sales out yourself first. As a business owner, you've got to go through that process. Nobody is going to be able to sell your thing better than you, because it's your product, it's your baby. You know, the energy and enthusiasm and passion that you have for that isn't going to be able to be replicated by somebody else. So having a sales team should only come when you have got no more capacity left and it doesn't make sense for your time to be used doing those things. So I think for me, you need to have a really established business to be outsourcing your sales. But whatever level you are at, you should have a sales department. But if you are a solopreneur, you are that sales department. You are head of sales, and this is a role that you need to take very seriously. So let's buckle up and get ready for the ride. And as you grow, it might make sense for you to bring someone else on to lead generate for you or to help you deliver the calls or whatever that might be. But first, you've got to figure it out before you can outsource it to anybody.
Amazing. Thank you so much. So final piece of advice for our listeners in terms of sales, what would it be?
2 things. 1, just bloody do it. And 2, make sure you are testing and measuring everything so that you can create a sales strategy that works. I don't want it to be different every single time. We want to create. It's a combination of create and curate. We want to make something that works, that you can follow. And then when it does get to a point where you have a sales team, you can pass that sales strategy on to them. So get on with it now. And also as we get on with it, create a sales strategy that works.
Amazing. And as Charlie shared earlier, just making sure that you're finding time every single day to do those sales activities that ultimately are going to move you forwards and make you some incredible sales in your business. Charlie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the episode or on the podcast. Before we finish the episode, can you just share with me what your one word of the year is?
Oh gosh. Didn't give me any more warning for that.
I ask all my lovely podcast guests this question.
No, I don't have a word of the year. But if I had to choose one based on what's happened so far, I'm going to say that my word of the year is growth.
Amazing. Growth. Absolutely. It's been an absolute pleasure, Charlie. Thank you so much. Where can our listeners find you and connect with you?
Come and find me on Instagram, Charlie Day Sales, or on Facebook, my Facebook group, which is the place to be. Sales is easy if you just know how. My book's called Sales is Easy if you just know how, and my podcast is also called Sales is Easy if you just know how. You can find me on everything like LinkedIn, TikTok, I'm everywhere. I'm all over the internet, guys. Come and connect. Tell me how much you love sales. Tell me how much you're ready to just bloody get on with it, and let's be friends.
Amazing. Go and give Charlie a follow, say hello to her, connect with her. She's absolutely incredible at what she does. And if you're ever looking to outsource your sales, she is the woman to go to with her agency. Thank you so much, my lovely. And thank you to everyone that's tuned into the episode today. Please don't forget to rate, review and subscribe to the podcast. And I'll see you all again next time. Thank you for tuning in to the Actually I Can Female Entrepreneur Podcast with me, your host, Kayleigh Greenacre. If you are ready to build, grow and scale your dream 6-figure or multi-6-figure business, then head to our website now for more information or connect with me on socials to see how you can create your dream business and dream life.